If you think about corporate real estate or residential and folks building distributed generation, well, the utility is often hostile to that. Or
Yep.
things like energy efficiency programs or things like demand response, which we can get into. And so the utility has always been very hostile to that. What's changed and what everyone's talking about is the AI buzz. And so you're finally seeing a time, or since the last decade, where we're back into an era of load growth. And load growth solves a lot of things. I was talking to utility yesterday. It's in the middle of the country. In their territory, they most recently printed 4% load growth. And 4% may not seem like a big number, but for this industry, it was flat for a decade. 4% is a lot. And so I do think that the trend back into load growth heals a lot of wounds. It allows for innovation. It allows the utility to say, oh man, we need all solutions, not just kind of trying to fight over their rate base before. And so I do think that brings challenges and opportunities for folks like myself that are in venture capital and for companies where it's like an all solutions on deck type environment that we're living in. And so I do think, as we try and match that load growth with new generation, which is important to, certainly the current administration, as well as, it's pretty bipartisan at this point, to have kind of energy security and energy abundance. If you look at the backlog for different types of generation assets, like, NextEra famously came out with recently in their earnings report that to get a new natural gas generator and a natural gas turbine, like the backlog is 5+ years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter what politics you want to believe in, like it's very challenging to get new generation onboarded. And if you look at solar and wind, which is kind of closer to 1.5 or 2 years, that's the fastest thing speed and power wise. But if you look at the interconnection queue, like there is a massive backlog to try and get these solar projects online, these wind projects online, these storage projects online. And so there is a little bit of a bottleneck right now. And so for utilities to continue supporting the industry and reindustrialization and all the things that we want to do as a country, like something's got to give. And so there are policy things that I think folks are trying to figure out around solving some of these interconnect challenges.